Chelsea Green has officially turned the blue brand into the greenhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the AR Wrestling Podcast. And as always, Ryan and I are your hosts. And this week, it's kind of just going over our build up to, I believe, Raw on Netflix, next Saturday night's main event, and the Royal Rumble, which I'm all excited about because this week was absolutely fucking amazing. So let's just get right into it. I don't think I got any news. Ryan, do you have anything?
Nah, I ain't got no news whatsoever. I'm ready to hop right into it. Let's go.
So we get right into Raw. Like we don't see anyone just walk in. We see Drew McIntyre walking, but it's straight to the ring. That's how we open up this Raw. We don't see our normal Judgment Day. We don't see maybe Rhea. We don't see Dom and Liv. I just said Judgment Day, but sometimes they come in by themselves. We didn't see that this week, at least for Raw. I don't remember about SmackDown. But Drew opens up with this promo. But before we start, we see a replay of Sammy and Drew fighting last week when Sammy jumped the shit out of him. That was amazing.
That was awesome. We love Sammy.
Drew was gunning for Rollins though, but Sammy was able to intercept. And then we see a replay of his promo on SmackDown with Solo, where he said, "You take out Roman Reigns for good." And then we see Jimmy Uso attacking Drew with a crutch. That was interesting. But after Hell in a Cell, he's never been so beat up in his entire life. 16 staples, almost a broken back. And when he went home to Scotland, everybody on the internet says they think they know what happened to Drew. No, so here's the real reason why he went home was because a very close member of his family actually passed. Sending our condolences to Drew's family, but maybe if the others in the locker room cared enough, they would have asked. Over the past 2 months, people called him to see how he was physically, not mentally, except for one person. 17 years, he was led to believe that the WWE is family. It's all bullshit. The only person that wouldn't steal my spotlight, wouldn't steal Drew's spotlight, is his brother back in Scotland. But the Usos would, Jay, Jimmy, and Sammy. And we get Yeet Chance. And he goes, after watching the horrible things the Bloodline has done, after watching people forget about it and move on, Drew's given us heart and soul into the business. He bled out at Hell in a Cell. That was a gruesome ass match, by the way. For modern day, that was pretty gruesome.
PG WWE putting that on, that is insane.
They could never. So, where are we at? And then when he was gone, basically everyone forgot about him. And I was sitting here thinking, I was like, maybe if this man would listen to our podcast, we didn't forget about him. We talked consistently for weeks about Drew McIntyre ever since he's been gone. I just want to point that out.
Consistently.
Every week. So, Drew, you're wrong. Anyways, where did I go? And from now on, he will give no more, and he's going to continue to tell the truth. And so the real villains in WWE are Roman Reigns and CM Punk. He brings up what Roman did to Jay and Sammy. It says what they did was pathetic. And says everyone who wronged Drew McIntyre needs to sleep with one eye open. Sammy comes out. Sami Zayn. He goes, Drew, you're angry. You don't have to believe what I'm going to say, but Sammy personally, he didn't know what happened in Scotland. He didn't know that one of Drew's family members died. Sammy thought that he was just recovering, speaking for the other stars and fans of the business. And Sammy's going to level with Drew. You talk about your 17 years. Well, I got 22 years in the game. Sammy has had a loss after loss after loss, but had to go to work. Sammy has done all the sacrifices, missed birthdays, weddings, funerals, literally anything. Christmases, and basically has to unput necessary stress on his wife and his kid. But him and Drew chose this life. They are WWE superstars. And it says they're lucky to be superstars. It says the fans and the people of the world, or people around the world, go through similar stuff, just like them. They get through the day without pointing the finger to everyone else, just like Drew has been doing these past forever months. I don't know how many. But Sammy says the fans didn't forget Drew. They made him. Says Drew still thinks the world revolves around him, but because a long time ago, someone said he was the chosen one. But it says that, all the Usos, the triplets, Sammy, Jimmy, and Jay, Their business isn't Drew's. And says if Drew wants to keep pointing fingers, Sammy says he has no problem being Drew's problem. And pitches a one-on-one match in that ring then and there. But Drew doesn't doubt what Sammy said. He says he can fly back home whenever he wants, like Sammy could. But Drew has to fly across the pond to get home. And says the people of Boston are the only ones who don't have to go anywhere and who have this luxury. And Drew asks Sammy why he wants to fight, and Sammy has never beat Drew. Just to point out, in a one-on-one, it's always been the help, which I do find interesting. We're keeping that, going.
I agree.
But Drew suggests that Sammy goes to the back and leaves with his family before anything happens, and Sammy tells Drew that he's the least of his worries. Or no, Sammy is the least of Drew's worries, but Sammy fires back and says his record against Drew is true. It's not that good. Sammy isn't fully recovered after Saturday night's main event. Then he punches Drew. Drew gives Sammy a Glasgow kiss, and then Jay Uso, my favorite superstar, Jay motherfucker.
Return, Jey Uso.
Super kicks Drew, and Sammy and Jay clothesline Drew out of the ring. Man,
let's go, Jay Uso back.
Oh, so I'm putting on the Red Geek glasses I got for Christmas. We're finishing this episode with the Red Geek glasses. Ladies and gentlemen, if we were on Twitch, you'd see exactly what I'm talking about.
Straight up.
But I mean, after this, dude, what do we think this sets up for? I mean, are we basically doing kind of what we did last year, where we're keeping somebody busy up until WrestleMania season?
That's what it kind of feels like at this point. It kind of feels like we're splashing our feet, kind of just waiting until Royal Rumble gets here, and or kind of the Raw till Netflix, but more so it feels like the Royal Rumble, we're kind of waiting until that gets here so we can really put all, pedal to the metal for the road to WrestleMania,
Exactly.
And then this will all, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But this will all lead into stuff that happens on SmackDown, which I think that this program is actually going to be moved over to SmackDown at some point when this whole transfer thing happens.
I see you and I have the opposite thinking. I think it's going to happen on Raw because simply, and this is going to sound so stupid and maybe probably really redundant.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to move basically the entire bloodline. They're going to keep Drew on Raw, and they're going to pull Jimmy and Roman back all onto Raw because that's what Netflix wants. It's all TV deals. That's why I think it is the way it is. I would not ever be opposed to putting this on SmackDown, though. Really, I would not.
Right.
But I think this is all going to go to Raw because Roman is one of the biggest anticipated stars for Raw and Netflix. I mean, we have I'm assuming, no. It's either going to be the match that opens Raw or it's going to be the co-main event of Monday Night Raw when Raw goes on Netflix. It's going to be Tribal Combat Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa.
I think I think that opens. I think it's a huge ad. Netflix runs ads, I'm pretty sure, not commercials or whatever. So they're shorter or something like that. But I think it'll be advertised a huge ad-free first hour, so you can do a giant Bloodline Rules match or a Tribal Combat match.
I agree. I do want to point out something for Raw, and it's talking about Roman and Solo. Who do you think wins that match?
Roman.
Because here's the thing: if they're going to stick to Tribal Combat, it's going to be Roman. But if they're going to do what they did at SummerSlam 2023, it's going to be. I'm assuming Jacob probably gets involved.
I assume Jacob gets involved, I assume this is going to start Tribal Combat. I feel like is going to set up the split of Jacob from the Bloodline. Is my wild prediction for it. Is I think Jacob ends up accidentally costing Solo the match, and that's where we're going to start teasing Jacob's going to go solo now.
I love you, Solo.
I love you, Solo. And then Roman's going to win the match. He's going to move on. I want Roman done with Solo's Bloodline and all that. I want him to just go on to something else or take time off until he comes back for the Royal Rumble and then do something else.
Yeah.
Which is probably what's going to happen, honestly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think Roman wins that one for sure. And this puts a whole stake in it that Roman is he is the OTC, but he is now just the tribal chief.
We keep the OTC, but we said instead of original, he's the only tribal chief.
The only tribal chief.
And you know how you set this up with Roman and WrestleMania? We get the match everyone's been asking for. Not everyone. The WWE's been asking for the past couple years. We finally get Rock versus Roman, and again, tribal combat. But it's kept to the standard of tribal combat because Rock is High Chief.
That'd be pretty cool.
WrestleMania 41. 42. No, 41, 42.
I would do 40. I'd probably end up 42 if it doesn't end up. Cause
Is this year's 41 or 42?
This is going to be 41.
Okay, so WrestleMania 41, night one main event. I'd be okay with that. Or you co-main events it before the World Heavyweight Championship match.
See, that's really
Which I feel like Gunther does deserve the main event scene.
Right now, it seems like really WWE wants Punk in the main event for Mania. At least one of them. So
I think they're talking him versus Gunther like you've been really anticipating.
I really want that match. That'd be freaking amazing. If Gunther holds it for that long.
I think you will.
Like, I could also see him doing Roman versus Punk, bro.
Well, I like that, honestly.
You could do Roman Reigns versus Punk. You could do Seth versus Punk round 3 at that point. If you wanted to run another trilogy with him.
Did we already have the one match between them?
No, and the first one's going to be on Raw on Netflix. But you can do Raw on Netflix, run another one at either Rumble or Elimination Chamber. Probably Elimination Chamber. Because they're both probably going to be in the Rumble.
That's true.
But yeah.
I think Rollins and Punk fought before back in 2013, 2012? When Punk was originally in the company, before he walked out. Yeah. I think they had a match because Punk was huge against the Shield.
Maybe, but I'm more concerned about this current rivalry. I'm not really worried about that.
I wonder if you can stem anything from that one, though, is what I'm trying to say.
You definitely can, because of it being Rollins and Punk's like original relationship where he was the mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the mentor, but he was the guy that like brought in the Shield, essentially.
Yeah. But to get off this rant, we gotta stop doing rants, dude. We get on these rants about these superstars. We forget about the other shows.
It's all good.
So we get a replay of last week. Kairi Sane being attacked. We obviously PFC walk away, but then we cut to Adam Pearce on the phone, and who walks in? Pure Fusion Control. And Sonya says, well, hey, look, there's a spot in the tournament now. I can make your life a lot easier. You know, put me in that spot. And Adam looks at Sonya and goes, that's an awful idea. And Shayna starts getting ready to talk. He goes, dude, shut your mouth. I was like, oh. I was like, okay, Pierce. Okay, Pierce. Adam already replaced Kairi, though, with Io Sky. And as Adam walks away, Shayna says that Io just lost him, actually. Why should she be rewarded? Why should Sonya be rewarded, dummy? She didn't do anything good.
Straight up, dummy. You literally haven't done anything.
She hasn't really done shit since she's been back, in my opinion. That's just me.
At all. But when she said Io, or when he said Io, the only thing I could think was, please beat Natalya. Please beat Natalya. Please.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I really hope this is not Natalya.
This was the match, bro. I was most scared of in this tournament.
With that being said, Io Sky being introduced in this now, she is my second pick in this Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament, because if Dakota doesn't win it, Io could win it, and you could set up Io versus Dakota.
I would do that in the finals.
I would do that because they're on opposite sides of the bracket.
Mm-hmm. I would have the finals be Dakota versus Io, and I would have them shake hands beforehand and then tease the actual, maybe not a heel turn, because the fans love both of them, honestly. They're both really good baby faces, so you don't even have to have them turn on each other. You can just have a really good, respectful match with each other.
Who's all in this bracket now? It's Io versus Lyra next week, right?
Yep, and then Dakota
versus
I don't
Zoe Stark.
See? I don't know.
I think what you could do is you have Honestly, I would be okay if Io lost against Lyra because this
Yeah,
would
me
give
too.
Lyra another chance to show, like, hey, she's not some wasted draft pick. Like, she's actually pretty valid, even though she hasn't been on
And
TV in, let's say, like a month and a half. I actually don't really know when she was
and
last on TV.
this is also Lyra's second round running through damage control in a tournament, if you remember. In
Exactly.
Queen of the Ring, she ran through EO and I think Dakota.
I think
Didn't
Dakota was
run
injured
through them.
at that time.
It was
I think
Kyrie
she just
then.
got injured.
Then it was Kyrie. Well, she didn't run through them, but you know what I mean. She beat both of them in the Queen of the Ring tournament to succeed, and so you could kind of play that back here and build a pretty good feud, I would say, off the back of EO and Lyra doing that.
Honestly, you could. I'd be okay with that.
hmm That could be your Mello and Andrade for the women's division on Raw.
See, I like the idea of, you know, um, shit. What was I thinking? Having the idea of the best of seven, but you shouldn't keep it a repeated thing. You know what I'm
No, you
saying?
definitely
You
shouldn't,
want to keep it fresh. And I mean, we just got off of Mello and Andrade, so why would we go back around and do it again?
because good
That
wrestling.
that's just my thought.
That's why we
That's why
need
like
more good wrestling on these shows, and I'm just gonna fucking say it.
there's like it's been the using of and abusing of triple threats for these tournaments, right?
Oh god,
Well,
I hate
why
that.
would you kind of use and abuse the best of seven? Like I get it, good wrestling, but you don't want
Because
to use and abuse that concept.
that does get people more consistent TV time as well, and it starts to build depth in your roster. If you're consistent, you don't even have to do a best of seven. You can do a best of five or a best of three or a best of four
Right. I would
with a
say
tag
honestly
match
keep
in
it
the
the
middle there.
traditional best of three. Usually that's what happens when it's like a big rivalry, you know what I'm saying?
You could, but I mean, if you're gonna keep it on TV, you
Because we
can
were
have that
there
as
for
much as you
Andrade
want.
winning number two, right?
hmm
So, um, that's just my thoughts on it, to be honest.
Right.
But let's get into this match. Basically, Alba Fire, kind of starts out hot, and then her and Natalia end up outside when Io hits this suicide dive, but her landing just looked nasty.
Disgusting.
But after this, we go to commercial and we come back, and just some more like little highlights throughout the match. Io hits a nice little crossbody on Natalia and Alba, and then drop kicks Alba, but she's able to get up and tornado DDT's Io, which I was like, okay, maybe Alba Fire's got some pull into this. I was actually starting to buy it a little bit,
I was pretty
but
surprised that they put her in this as a single role.
I would honestly, her and Isla had a really big like rivalry in NXT, right?
Really?
Yeah, they had this huge like one-on-one rivalry for a little bit,
I
but
did not know that.
Fire hits a swanton bomb on Natalia and Io, looking like the match is over. But Natalia later on attempts a double sharpshooter on Natalia, or on not Natalia, my dumbass, on Alba and Io before Io is able to get out of it and hits a over the moonsault for the win. And again, this is my second pick for the tournament. I got Dakota and I got Io. So
Yeah,
where I'm sitting at. Where you? I don't know about you.
I actually completely agree with you because I really, really like the idea of the finals being Io and Dakota. Even though, oh, dude, I love Lyra, and she has not gotten the TV time that she deserves. Like you
Yeah, she
mentioned it
needs
earlier, and I totally agree with that point. I don't think I mentioned that I did, but I do
more TV time.
definitely. But Io and Dakota, preferably Dakota.
Dakota needs a title. Io's
hmm
already won the world title. She gets enough TV time. I mean, honestly, what you could do, you could run it back like the old Damage Control. Have one of them be the singles, have the other two be the tag champs. But then
Exactly.
when Bailey was around, there was five of them
Well,
in
we're also getting
total.
ready for Asuka to come back too.
Right, which
Presumably at the Royal Rumble. We don't know for sure. Nothing's been confirmed.
she's going to Royal Rumble.
Right. Right.
Becky
She
Lynch is in
definitely is.
the
She definitely is.
Becky Lynch is in the promo video for Rumble. So
Let's
be
go,
aware of that.
Becky.
Becky is basically confirmed to be back. Um, so I'm excited to watch all of this. Honestly, I hope Charlotte Flair comes back, and then she. Oh, dude, I know you. I know you don't want to use it. I know I just talked about using and abusing, But what if, so say Charlotte comes back, wins the Rumble, goes after Nia, and Tiffany's still by Nia's side all this time, but during their match at WrestleMania, who cashes in? Miss Tiffany Stratton, taking it away from both of them. This is now how you set up. You can either go two ways with it. You can either go Charlotte versus Tiffy, or you can go Nia versus Tiffy. But Tiffy's going to be the center point of this focus, or is the center point of everything. But I think what you do is you
Center of
put
the
her
universe.
exactly who she thinks she is. And what you could do is have Tiffy go on this tear, but Nia and Charlotte are still at each other's throats because who's the real queen of the ring? They get to the semifinals of the Queen of the Ring match, and Nia versus Charlotte again, but Charlotte wins it this time because she is the queen.
I really like that.
And then Charlotte goes on to win at Queen of the Ring, taking on Miss Tiffy time at SummerSlam in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you think. That's how I think you can build up to that match.
Charlotte and Tiffy is probably like number 2 in my like women's dream match list right now for WWE. Number 1 is Rio and Asuka. Not gonna lie, I don't know why, but the sound of that match sounds amazing. But
Rhea and Asuka would be fire.
Charlotte and Tiffy sounds. Oh my god, I want it. I need it. I need it yesterday, and I need it in my. Oh my god.
You needed
I
it
don't even know what I
yesteryear.
do. I don't even know.
And so after this, though, we see a replay of Damian costing Finn and JD the tag titles last week. And we see the Judgment Day in their locker room. And dude, I just like the little bickering between Finn and Liv. Because it is like Big Brother and like Big Sister just going at it. Like siblings just butting heads. And Finn's upset he doesn't have 2 titles. And then Liv and Finn start bickering. Finn tells JD to tell Liv XYZ. And Liv tells Raquel to tell Finn XYZ. And this goes on for like a minute. And Dom goes, you know what? Both of you stop. I'm going to try to fix this by getting a match with Damian. And I believe Finn stepped up and said something like, oh, do you really think you're better than me? I don't remember what it was. But I'm pretty sure Finn stepped up to Dom. And Dom's like, no, dude. And then JD, as it closes out, JD's asking for 1 week with no drama.
I mean,
Me
this
too,
is the week
JD.
of Christmas, for crying out loud.
Me too, JD.
No drama on Christmas.
But we see Jay, ooh, so, an honorary Oos, Sammy, ooh, so, backstage. And, you know, Sammy's happy Jay's back, but Jay's got to get his payback on Drew. And look, Sammy wants Drew tonight. And Jay's like, no, let me take over. And Sammy's like, no, I talked big game, so I need to step up. And so Sammy, you know, he also says he started something, so he's got to finish it. And then Jay asks for Drew after Sammy's done with them. And Sammy goes, yeah, dude, you're good. And Jay yeets out of the room.
Yeet.
Yeet. Man, I love Jey Uso.
I do love Jey Uso, but with this whole Drew McIntyre character, I'm scared that the dude's about to get murked by him.
Look, I'll forever support him as long as he does not, you know, do anything dumb.
I'll forever support him until we once again get a proper singles title run with the man.
Yeah, we need a proper singles title run with him. If we don't get that,
it's like 2.5 weeks or some bullshit out that first one was.
Bro,
happy he had it.
We talked about this over Thanksgiving too, or like during Thanksgiving week. Mm-hmm. I felt you. Sorry, I felt how you felt about Gunther's title run because of Jay's title run. Like I 100% like understood it, and it's just like, goddamn. Like they need to give this man a proper go around with everything because
straight up, like put some faith in him. He can do it. People love him.
I wouldn't even have to say you could put a world title into this. Let Jay and Jimmy fight over the IC or US title. Like fuck.
Yeah, literally.
Let them fight over it because we want. Jay wants to go round 2 at WrestleMania with Jimmy again.
And I'm not against it because by the sounds of it, they both understand that this year's, because we still got like 2 days left of this year, but this year's Mania match was definitely a dud.
That was awful.
It's just super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, spear, drama.
That's literally what it was. It was so ass. Like that was probably my most anticipated match for the night, and it just blew. Like it was just awful.
Yeah, I agree.
So after this, though, we get a promo video from Wednesday's Raw and Netflix kickoff show. We get Logan Paul, Gunther, Rhea, Judgment Day. We see our tribal combat match where the Timu Bloodlines show up and Paul Heyman comes out and backs up Roman. And then we get our Rollins and Punk match. And then during this, they actually do kind of tussle a little bit before security, separates them, whatever. And then honestly, with Logan Paul being on Raw, they have no faith in him being the face of the company.
How long until he gets a world title around his freaking waist?
He's going to get the world heavyweight. He's not going to get the WWE championship. I know he's not.
Yeah, no, he's going to get world heavyweight title. But how long? Oh, no. Especially because they teased it a little bit with him having a little bit of an interaction with Gunther, right?
There was that. They're basically planting the seeds for their rivalry. Then you had the match against Roman and the match against Cody, both at Crown Jewel.
Right.
So I mean, he can put on stellar matches. I'm not saying that is what's wrong with him whatsoever. The problem with Logan Paul is that he's an internet star coming into a business where 99% of the company is built from scratch. Like the wrestlers, they build themselves from scratch. They start their career. Nobody knows them. They have to work their way. Logan Paul, he got famous off YouTube, then got banned for a little while, came back, owns a podcast, and then now his fight is potentially going to fight Gunther.
And to be honest, that's why Gunther's the perfect opponent for Logan Paul.
And you know what's funny? I'm pretty sure Gunther hasn't been on Impulsive yet. This is his first opponent that hasn't been on Impulsive in a while.
Mm-hmm. But, again, this is why Gunther's the perfect opponent for Logan Paul. Because everything that you just said Logan Paul is, Gunther is quite literally the complete opposite.
They're complete polar opposite.
He started from the ground, the bottom of the indie scene in Europe, scratched, fought, and climbed his way to superstardom to the top of WWE to become a world champion. And if they both meet in a match like that, taking these two completely opposite paths to meet, it will be actually, I think, a really good story that they could tell. Not to mention, Gunther's going to beat the shit out of this boy.
Oh, my God, he is.
Oh, my God, I can't wait.
Undoubtedly, he's going to.
He is going to beat the shit out of Paul.
So, I mean, I don't know. I want to see something happen, even if they take it to Impulsive, but instead they do it in the middle of the rivalry, and Gunther comes in, he's on the show, whatever. Logan Paul says some snarky ass shit, and then Gunther just basically flips a table or something and walks out.
Mm-hmm. Or Gunther is the type of guy who, we've seen it in some promos in the past where he can just add in, he can go toe for toe with those little digs thrown in those comments like that.
Oh, on God, he could.
Could you imagine him on Impulsive and throwing in a little bit of a Japan comment? Oh my God.
What the fuck is that? I can actually see that. That's what's fucked.
Well, I've conquered the world. I've gone to Europe. I've gone to America. I've gone to Japan. You know a thing about that. All it has to be.
That will literally be a perfect. That'd be bar for bar. That'd be perfect. So, I think that would be. I'm excited for that. That's probably the one rivalry I'm genuinely excited that Logan Paul is in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but after this, we get Chad Gable with American Made, who is fighting Akira Tozawa with the Alpha Academy, and we get the "You Suck" chants like we used to with Kurt Angle to Gable during his entrance. Gable's like, "Dude, what the hell?" But he starts out hot and Otis ends up yelling at Gable outside the ring. Gable slaps the shit out of him. And he goes, "I never break the rules." And then he's able to counter a top rope senton and pulls an ankle lock on Tozawa, taking the W. But he's not letting go. And so Otis grabs Gable by the face. And dude, did you see how far he chucked him?
He tossed this dude.
But the Creed brothers come in to protect Gable. And Otis starts getting all fired up, ready to go after Gable. But he wants to fight him, and Gable, as always, as he's done this entire rivalry between these two, he backs down because he knows he can't beat Otis.
Oh, you can't beat that man, especially when he starts that jiggling, when he starts wiggling. Oh, he's building it up.
When those legs get moving, you get the hell out of the way. So
I'm
I think we'll
excited that
eventually
they're
get to Otis
finally
versus
blowing.
Gable.
I'm sorry.
I said I'm excited that we're getting to Otis versus Gable.
Me too. I'm kind of upset that it's been pushed back so far because like this was months ago when they originally teased this, but I'm happy that it is getting
Yeah, this was
blown
like
off
back in
again
like
at some
this
point.
was back in like May.
Yeah, literally. But like
So
I said, I'm happy it's getting blown off finally.
I am too. I do like that they kept them away from each other for so long because you could pull what you had to pull with American Made with the Wyatts, and then
Right.
Alpha Academy kind of became their own characters that everyone loves that are never in the fucking ring. So
That's right. We got to meet them.
we did get to meet them. We got to meet Alpha
We got
Academy, and
pictures with them.
it was pretty fucking lit.
We
I
got
love
pictures with them.
Otis. Otis is such a cool dude.
Oh, this
And
is a cool dude. So this is Al and Maxine.
Tozawa!
Zawa!
God, that was so fun. But we get the New Day backstage, and it says no one understands them. But Dominic walks in. Dominic Mysterio, the guy who turned on Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, his father, former World Heavyweight Champion, former longest lasting in the Royal Rumble match. He even walks in, looks at Kofi and Xavier. He goes, even though he did not like, or Dom didn't like Big E, what Kingston and Woods did was still crazy. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my god, Dominic, bro.
And
And then
then
the
Xavier
face he
says,
pulls.
that's what I'm saying. And then Dominic says, that, um, or not Dominic. Xavier says, or Xavier calls Dominic, broke Tom Selleck. And Dom goes, Tom Selleck wishes. I was like, bro, what? I don't think he really wishes to be you. He's not dirty.
Yeah,
I don't
nope.
think he ever wishes to be dirty.
No one ever wants to be like Dirty Sanchez here.
Bro, honestly, though, I would hang out with Dominic Mysterio for a day.
Eat some chicken
Like,
tendies.
outside of the. I'm God. Oh, God.
Bro, to be fair, you guys did have a similar diet.
Fuck you. I love my chicken nuggies.
I can't hate. I
But,
can't hate. I wonder how he feels about the Taco Bell ones.
yeah, I'm curious to know.
Those
Those
are
were
the real
fire.
questions.
Those
Those
were
are the real
fire.
questions we need answered. Dom, how do you feel about Taco Bell nugs?
Speaking of Dom, I'm keeping this conversation going. He gets his match against Damian Priest. And we learned during Dom's entrance that New Year's Evil is the Tuesday after Monday Night Raw, which is, I think they're, or NXT's like yearly show or whatever. I don't know. But, Dom immediately gets out of the ring as soon as the bell rings as usual. But Damian kind of starts out hot after he gets back in. Dom ends up getting some offense in, especially hitting a suicide dive, but he didn't fully hit this dive. Damian catches him and throws him into the ring post. And we see a little Santa Claus in the crowd. It's Santa Claus. And JD McDonough is Santa, gets thrown. Carlito's seen under the ring, and then Finn comes flying in, attacking Damian. And we see the War Raiders coming to Damian's aid after the numbers game catches up to him. Damian throws JD out of the ring and starts beating the shit out of Finn. War Raiders double team Carlito, and Damian clotheslines hits that clothesline on JD. War Machine onto Dominic, and Damian gives Finn the South of Heaven. And honestly, kind of a little side note, if you wanted to keep Damian in a faction, I wouldn't be opposed to him with the War Raiders.
Dude, that would
Honestly,
be insane.
just change up his colors a little bit. I
That
wouldn't be
would be
opposed to it.
so cool.
But I also do like the fact that you can keep the War Raiders separate because they did. We do talk. They do talk later on about some shit.
Right.
But after this, we get Jackie Redmond with Seth freaking Rollins, and Jackie's talked with Punk, but we've also heard from Rollins, and we want to know what's the root issue that Rollins has of his disdain towards Punk. And Rollins, he's tried to explain how he felt about Punk over the years, and says Punk needed WWE, but WWE didn't need him. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But Rollins didn't carry the company And
Yeah,
there's
you're not
he
wrong.
carried the
You're not
company
wrong.
for 4 years, but after 2019 hit, it was basically Roman Reigns' era from then on. I mean, can we say it still is? Kinda, but I mean, it's kind of more the era of like Cody
Cody,
Rhodes,
Cody
exactly,
Rhodes,
and
Cody,
CM Punk
Cody
now.
Rhodes.
Those are my thoughts. I think it's now the era of CM Punk because honestly, after that night, I mean, we talked about it because we used to have an old podcast before we started this one. We talked about it, and that moment in Survivor Series 2023 when Punk came out at the end of the show, that racked in so much money for WWE alone. I don't think they would be where they are today without Punk. And I'm not saying, Punk's a big key player into this. No, he is one of those little pieces that makes the big picture look good, in my opinion.
Exactly. He's one of the, I would say you've got like 4 to 5 guys who you could pitch as your number one, like your number 2 or 3 guy. You got Cody, you got Roman, you got Punk, you got Seth, who I would argue some people wouldn't agree with Seth, but I would say Gunther for them for some part because they all hit a different part of the fan base.
Oh
Like
God,
Gunther's my favorite wrestler. He scratches the itch of, do you want to see phenomenal wrestling? Here's a phenomenal wrestler, and he's our world champion, by the way.
oh God. But the hypocrisy eats at Rollins. And what does cutting out Punk look like? Well, Rollins says it's a fight against Punk, and this is the biggest fight in the industry. After Survivor Series, hand in hand with Roman, Punk doing or Roman raising a little stupid one, and Punk doing his little dumbass go to sleep. Rollins wanted to throw the remote through the TV. He was internally destroyed, and he doesn't know what the match is going to be like. But he says it's going to be violent for Raw on Netflix. Says he has to extract this demon from his soul. It says he needs to cut the cancer out, and he can't wait to absolutely destroy um, CM Punk.
I like him adding in the cancer line there, kind of throwing
I
back
do
to the
too.
Chris Van Vliet. I think it was Chris Van Vliet who interviewed him, and he called CM Punk a cancer to the industry
Philly
before he
Phil,
came back to WWE.
Philly Phil,
Oh,
you
Philly Phil,
cancer,
stay
stay
away, stay
away.
away. I don't want you. We don't want you here. You're a cancer.
God,
Oh my
it's
God.
after
He
this.
didn't think Punk was ever coming back when he said that.
No, nah. But Miz and Dexter Lumis is our match following this promo.
Oh
And
yes.
literally, dude, as soon as basically this match, or no, during the Miz's entrance, we get "I opened the door," which is a QR code graphic, and I found a video on Twitter, and that was the only thing it said was "I opened the door." But the "I" was the only thing that, so like the video, it would play out, it'd just be that, but "open the door" would glitch in and out, and "I" would stay the same.
Huh.
So I don't know, but I did notice during Dexter Lumis's entrance, Miz looks absolutely scared shitless,
Oh yeah,
and
dude. I would be too.
um,
This is the guy that's
I
like
mean,
almost shot a dude backstage.
right, I'm also like I'd also be scared as shit as well if we see Dexter, doing his little crawling thing into the ring.
Oh
Like,
my God.
dude, that shit is scary. And hold on, Dexter almost shot someone backstage.
Oh my God, bro! Do you not remember when the Wyatts debuted? That one dude who had just blood splattered on the wall behind him when he was
Oh
slumped
shit.
there
Oh shit.
in front of Dexter.
Okay, I remember that now. I was like, wait, time out. What news story did I miss? Okay, never mind. We're
Good
good.
news story. Why is he still employed?
Jesus.
uh,
But getting into this match, Loomis starts out hot, and honestly, I think this is the best version of Dexter Loomis to date.
I completely
Like
agree.
just looking at everything he does. But throughout this, Miz keeps trying to run from Loomis, and he looks to get rolling, but he can't because Dexter's just absolutely just staying on top of Miz throughout this entire match. But Dexter Loomis goes up, AOP come out, and Loomis jumps into AOP, but Karrion Cross comes out, and the Final Testament surround Dexter Loomis, and Loomis raises his hands, and the lights go dark. Wyatt Six show up on the apron after the DQ finish that happened on Dexter Loomis, and Rowan, dude, to close this out. Rowan power bombs Nikki Cross into the Final Testament. That was crazy.
That was nuts. I love the Wyatt Six, man.
And so, well,
I
something
don't
I
think
do
Uncle
love comes
Howdy
up in
was
a
in the ring,
couple
was he?
segments. Howdy was not in the ring. He has
Yeah.
not been seen on TV in a few weeks.
But I also do like that kind of aspect of he's the quote unquote puppet master of it all, and he doesn't need to show up every week because these are the guys that does it for him. Obviously,
Yeah, he just and like you said, like
this
you
is
keep
his
saying,
family
less
that
is
does
more.
it for him. Yeah, less is 1,000% more. And there's some people
So,
I've seen online that like bitch about it. That's like,
oh,
well,
dude,
the
I
Wyatt
know it's all I
Six isn't
see.
on like TV every. It's like, bro, like
I mean, today they are. They're just not shown physically. It's all vignettes. That's the
exactly,
mystique of their character. You got to keep the vignettes going. But no, like
exactly.
all like the, it's kind of like the old guys when Triple H was talking about the old guys, how they're always talking like shit about the new product. Well, it's the same thing. If we want, if Triple H is going to book what he wanted, this shit would go downhill instantly. AEW would be the top of the charts right now.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be Monday Night Wars all over again.
Right.
But I mean, that's just like people got to understand less is more with this faction because I mean, I wasn't around watching the whole thing for Bray, but I still liked Bray as a character a lot. I really fucked with it. And after he passed, I was like, okay, look, I liked his character, but if his brother's going to go into this, I need a full blown just send into this shit. Like, I can't sit by the side and I'm going to say, oh yeah, I'm a big fan. I was never like the biggest fan of Bray. I was a fan of Bray's work. I was never a big fan. And I mean, not a lot of people understand that either. And I don't know what happened during Bray's time with the vignettes and if he, showed up every so often. But I know the Firefly Funhouse skits were just vignettes. And some of those times, he wouldn't actually show up physically.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That was how
I
he
think people
first
need to
showed up
understand.
for the first couple of weeks. It was only Firefly Funhouse vignettes where he introduced himself. That's where we first saw the Fiend was in the Firefly Funhouse vignettes. And so
True.
these have been a really important part of Bray and the Wyatt story. If you want to call it the Wyatt story, the entire career of this of Bray and into the Wyatt Six, like it's kind of been their memo. Has been these vignettes, even
Because I've
when they
seen,
were the Swamp Cult kind of
oh
characters. You
God,
know,
yeah. And even like the way, I mean, the whole thing with the Firefly Funhouse, people like, oh yeah, people are loving the fantasy aspect of it. But when it came to the reality side, people are hating on this because it's all reality. So what?
yeah,
Like,
this is wrestling. Like we're supposed to be like doing shit like this.
you
Like
can't copy paste this because then that you are taking away from Bo Dallas, who realistically, I think if he was paired with Bray sooner, his career would have taken off a lot sooner.
dude, if they could have ran like an actual tag team, those two, where like the
But I
two of them
get,
were like the twin brothers, maybe not twin brothers, but the brothers running like their own cult, basically.
but I get it at the time. Bo literally in NXT he was this Bo Leave character, and on top of that,
Believe.
you can't just switch that on the way like throughout. You have to kind of find a way to do it. And I mean, at that time, it was what 2012. Bray was still in NXT. He was just finding his feet as Bray Wyatt instead of Husky Harris.
Right.
So I think later that year, the following year, that's when we got the debut of the Wyatt family. Because I think, if I remember correctly, Bray Wyatt's first original feud was against John Cena.
It was
If I'm
Kane.
remembering correctly, I don't remember though.
It was Kane when
It was
they
Kane.
targeted Kane. They initially targeted Kane because they had the Inferno match at SummerSlam that year,
Oh
and
yeah,
after Kane, then I think they just fiddle farted around. I think they went with Daniel Bryan there for a little bit, and then
dude, that shit was
John
fire.
Cena. Yeah, the Daniel Bryan storyline with the Wyatts was
I liked the Cena
fire.
storyline, the Bryan storyline, and the Orton storylines. I loved all of those.
I liked the Cena storyline up until Cena won.
That's wild.
Bray should have won that match at Mania. No one can change anyone's. That was just the
I
right
agree to
choice.
that. And so after this, though, we're getting back on the track and everything. War Raiders are seen backstage, celebrating what happened after Damien's match, and Damien comes in and says thank you. But Ivar goes, look, we may not always seen eye to eye, but there's always been respect between all three of us. And Damien says, honestly, with them being at War Judgment Day, he'll go to war with the War Raiders any day, which kind of just helped me solidify my personal wants and needs and wants, and Damien being a part, making this little faction.
Right. They mentioned it here. There was a wink, wink, nod, nod. All three of these guys knew each other from Ring of Honor, where they
Hmm.
wrestled each other and shit like that. So they kind of said, "We have a relationship. We haven't always gotten along, but it's based on honor and shit like that." I thought that was a cool little wink, wink to it. But that's just
I
what I
definitely
wanted
agree to
to add.
that. And after this, Ryan, we get probably the biggest story right now that is not a wrestling like we get a biggest our biggest like star that's not currently in the company. We see the zero with the slash shirt again. And I paid close attention this time because I thought it was the normal shit. Like it was just last week's where it was zero and the slash. No, they added more. If you didn't, if you paid close attention, there was a pentagram sort of symbol in the video. And that's what made me solidify that Penta is coming to WWE. Now, where does he debut? I don't know. But do not stick him with either of these Hispanic stables. Please. Please don't do it. Like, do it like Andrade. Make him his own character. Because
For
if you
sure.
do that, you ruin literally everything that Penta built for himself, in my opinion.
And I think that it is time for us to genuinely have like a lucha star in the main event again. Like
Mm-hmm.
Rey Mysterio, undoubtedly for the past a million trillion years since wrestling was invented, has been the greatest luchador ever, and he's been like the only main event luchador really WWE has pushed. I feel like to the
Besides
world
Eddie.
title, except for Eddie. True,
Except
Eddie,
for Eddie,
Eddie.
but his timely, unfortunate passing. So
Right. So Eddie and
we can
Rey,
only
I
say
feel like, are the
much.
only lucha stars that have won the world title ever.
Sin Cara would have been one, but he fucked his shit up.
Alberto Del Rio, but he's not. I
Alberto
wouldn't.
Del he would have
He's
been
not
good if
more
he would have stayed
lucha
out of
than like.
trouble.
He's not like a really. I don't think luchador when I think of Alberto Del Rio, though. To
Well,
be honest,
because do you think about Luchador with the mask?
no.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say that's probably what it is for you, but for me, honestly, I considered Alberto Del Rio Luchador because I mean he did come from Mexico, like he
Yeah, but that
wrestled
doesn't
in
make you a
Mexico,
luchador.
right? But like his background in Mexico is what like made me think he was one. But I also
Hmm.
liked how they try to keep him separate from everyone too. Like
Right.
instead of just
True.
following the simplest shit, like they try to push him. But I mean, I think he would have been I think he would still be in the company today if he just stayed out of trouble.
Yeah. Who knows?
Honestly,
I don't know. He's somewhere getting a push. He's. I think
he's not
AAA
anywhere.
is where he's at.
He is in a
He's in
high school
AAA.
gym.
Yeah.
And
But
so
back to what I was saying about Penta. I think this is the opportunity. Penta's got like the move set to be an absolute killer if you wanted to introduce him onto a roster. If Kevin Owens wasn't feuding with Cody right now, my big pitch would be have Penta walk in and lay Cody Rhodes out and just completely destroy Cody and set up that match for the Royal Rumble to immediately push Penta as this huge star or this big threat. I would push him as a heel, to be honest. This
so
big
you're putting him on
threat.
SmackDown.
Yeah. Or no.
Okay.
Well, okay. This would be the original threat if everything that wasn't happening right now was happening because it looks like he's going to Raw right now because of all the vignettes
Yeah.
are happening on Raw and Cody's busy with Kevin. So if all that collectively wasn't happening, my big pitch would him go after Cody to push him as like this big heel threat.
Right.
But right
Okay.
now, I don't know what you do with him right now. I would definitely do it on Raw though. Raw on Netflix if anything.
Shit. You know you could do? I mean you did it with
Ooh, I think I
fuck.
know. I have an idea at
Um
least.
what? What's your idea? I had an idea and
Uh,
I lost it.
have him have like CM Punk and Seth Rollins. That's your main event, and then have Punk win, walk out, have Seth throw in like you can have like you can have a screw job finish if anything. You can
Mm.
screw Seth Rollins out of that win on Raw on Netflix, so you can set up a future match later down the line on a pay per view. But then while Seth is like throwing a tantrum, getting pissed off after he lost to Punk, Penta can come in, absolutely level this dude, kind of Bronson Reed style, and that's how we establish Penta and have him close out the show, standing there with like ta-da on top of us being on Netflix. Now we have one of AEW's biggest stars again, or one of their biggest original stars that they had. Because yeah, he was a tag team, but you know what I'm trying to say.
He's 39. Damn. He's also 5'11", 207. So he got some. He's a
He's a,
decent sized dude.
he's a yeah, dude. When you see him, he's kind of a beast, low key,
Penta El Cero
and
Mira.
he moves quick as shit. I love watching Penta.
So, you know what else I do love watching? Everyone fucking shit on the New Day. We see a
I fucking
replay
hate
of
these
the New
two.
Day trying to justify themselves 2 weeks ago in the ring, but nobody cared. And so they come through
New Day
the
sucks.
ringside
New
area
Day
over
sucks.
by the announce table, and Kofi and Xavier heard what commentary said. And Joe's like, no, this is unbiased journalism. And Kofi says that Joe doesn't know how to do his job, and Xavier is trying to back up Kofi and everything. And he says the one thing that Wade Barrett and Big E aren't man enough to do is to lace up their boots and get in the ring. Barrett sits back. He goes, I'm retired.
I'm retired, man.
You and I talked about this on the way to an indie show we went to on Friday. He never officially retired.
Yeah,
He
that's
never
true.
officially
That's true.
retired.
He's not officially retired. We looked it up and shit.
And so Kofi and Xavier make their way to the ring as usual and says they could have honestly beat up Big E. They could have him stretchered out again. And Xavier says they didn't. So why is the crowd upset? Tonight was supposed to be a homecoming for Kofi. He even brought his mom a ticket. He even bought his mom a ticket from Ghana to Boston. 20 hours, middle seat, by the way.
Middle seat. Middle
That's
seat, bro.
like, bruh. Kofi says
I ain't gonna do
that
that to her.
the crowd is ruining his mother's experience and says his mom doesn't deserve to get booed. And Xavier says they gave the fans the best 10 years of their life. So Kofi tries to go apologize to his mom and says that she doesn't deserve it. And he doesn't understand why they're doing this. And so he goes in for a hug from his mom. His mom confronts him about what he did to E and gives him the cold shoulder and walks out. And Mama Kingston walks through the crowd away from Kofi, and him getting showered with Kofi sucks chance. Oh my God, Mama
Damn. Let's go,
Kingston!
Mama Kingston.
Kofi is petty as hell too. He posted a picture on Christmas on his Twitter or his Instagram, in literally cropped out or like drew out or colored out his mom, like she
That's
never existed. I was like, oh,
crazy.
that's your mom's, bro.
That's crazy.
And so after this, we do learn the Judgment Day versus War Raiders next week for World Tag Titles. Both semi final matches for the women's IC titles are next week. We get Otis versus Chad Gable and CM Punk versus Seth Rollins face off as well. I'm so excited because that means the finals for the women's IC title is on Monday. Is next Monday. I'm so excited. I swear to
On
God.
Netflix, yes, sir.
I
It's
swear
gonna
I
be a
need
legendary show.
Dakota Kai to win this. I need it. But we see the New Day backstage. Fuck them. Rey Mysterio comes in, and he's thought about what Kofi said about being a locker room leader. He feels like he has the responsibility to help everyone the best he can, and says the thing with Big E, that was out of pocket. And the New Day, he goes, well, here's what you can do. You can apologize to Big E and everyone. And New Day don't want to apologize. And Xavier's like, why doesn't he pop that mask off so Ray can hear better? And Ray's like, look, you can't even say I tried to you can't say I didn't try to help because you need to get used to hearing New Day sucks.
New Day sucks.
God, they do.
I
Fuck the New
like Rey
Day.
Mysterio in this whole locker room leader role.
I love it too. And I like that they're
Ray's a
bringing it on
legend.
screen.
Yeah, I
That's
do
why
like
I
that
love it.
too. Like really
Um,
cementing, like Ray's a freaking legend, y'all. Put some respect on his name.
put some respect on his name. And so this leads us right into our main event where we get Drew McIntyre versus Sammy Uso. And
Sammy Uso.
Sammy Uso. He starts out hot, but Drew's able to quickly take control. And what's that move he does where he jumps off the ropes? Like he does like a flip off the ropes, but like when he lands on the ropes originally, it's his legs bouncing first. What the hell is that called?
It's usually called like an Arabian press or something
Thank
like
you.
that.
I couldn't remember it. I remember it was like Arabian something.
Arabian Nights.
And so we end up coming back from commercial, and Drew's in control very heavily, but Sammy later on can go for a crossbody, but gets caught. And after this, him and Drew are outside the ring, bro. He bounces Drew's head off the announce table like crazy, but Drew's able to take some control and bounce Sammy's head off the steel steps. And I don't know how close you pay attention to this match. Drew drops Sammy onto the hardest part of the apron. I was
Damn.
like, damn. Come back from commercial though. Sammy counters Drew and sends himself into the ring post, but Drew is able to gain control later on, and Sammy package rolls up Drew. Drew hits the Glasgow kiss, and when he goes for a claymore, he gets countered by Sami Zayn's, or he gets countered by Sammy, and um, Sammy hits the exploder on Drew, and Sammy tries to go for his finisher, but his back stops him, so he goes back in the corner, and then when he goes for it again, Drew claymores him for the 1-2-3. And after the match, we see him standing over Sammy, start absolutely beating Sammy ruthlessly. Jey Uso comes to the save, spears Drew, and then out of nowhere, Solo Tama and Jacob all show up. And then we see Tama start unloading on Jey. We get OTC chants, and Jey gets some attacks in before Solo and Jacob destroy him. Jacob does his Fatu shit as usual. Um, Solo starts demanding orders around the ring, and after this, Jacob is still doing his Fatu shit. And the team of Bloodline stands tall, raising the ones.
They do. I think it's really this ties into what I'm about to say. What happens on SmackDown too? I want like to find out who has the most like TV main events of the year because I'm 99% certain it is Sami Zayn.
Who
Like,
has what?
bro, who has the most TV main events this year? Because I think it's like Sami Zayn at this point. Because bro is like working his ass off. Like he's always on this shit. Like I was just kind of thinking about that when you were like going over the match. I'm like, damn, he's in this main event on Raw and he's in the main event of SmackDown. Like for match
Oh
wise, I
shit,
mean,
he is. Yeah.
like Sam is a player. Like for real.
Sammy. Ooh,
Ooh,
so.
so I am loving the bloodline like storyline involving Drew again at this point because the man is just on fire this year.
My God. So, I mean,
But
that's all I got for Raw um after what happened with Fatu doing his Fatu shit.
on some Fatu shit, we'll get into more of Jacob Fatu when we dive more into SmackDown now. Ladies and gentlemen, we kick it all off with a review for everything involving Kevin Owens and Cody over the last few weeks and months, including what happened at Saturday night's main event, which all cuts to Nick Aldis in a back room, giving KO a chance to relinquish the Winged Eagle Championship by the end of the night, where he will face severe and dire consequences. Once that belt back, we'll definitely see how that unfolds later. I'm pretty interested to see because Kevin holding the belt hostage is kind of what I had pitched when he kind of stole it at Saturday night's main event. I think.
Yeah, you definitely did pitch that. I like the idea of it, but I'm definitely kind of confused
I think
on
they're
what they're
they're
gonna
doing
do.
it a different way than I had like imagined them doing it, but I
Yeah.
still like what they're doing. We then go to Kathy Kelly, who is in Gorilla, where she asks Bianca and Naomi about being the women's tag team champions, and Naomi has wanted gold ever since she has returned. She didn't think it would happen this way, though, especially with everything that happened to Jade. Which again, another little dig there makes me. There's especially like maybe I'm tripping, but maybe Bianca gave her like a little bit of a glance where she mentioned Jade and shit like that. So,
Mm,
I'm thinking there's something going on here. And you had showed me like a little bit of a pitch when we went to that indie show that you mentioned this weekend about Bianca being like this whole mastermind of this thing and Naomi being the like
Naomi
uninformed
being
one where she's basically just a pawn.
basically being the pawn. There you go. To
Hmm.
answer your question though about main events, Sami Zayn has only had 7 since August that I counted. I definitely have to go through this entire thing to check, but I definitely think I think he's got like I want if he's got 7 but since August, I'm definitely gonna go up in like probably high teens, low 20s with Sammy.
Something like that, maybe. Maybe in the teens. Maybe it's less than I'm thinking, but who knows? Maybe it's just
He's
this
been in a
week that's
shit
gonna give
ton.
him. Definitely has been a lot. But where was I at? She didn't think that it would happen this way because of Jade, but Bianca then butts in. She says that Naomi stepped up and she showed up after Jade got taken out. And Bianca still wants to find the person who took out Jade because she knows it was one of the people in Naya's crew. It was Naya, Tiffy, or Candace. Naomi says that she's happy to help, and in walks her temporary, like quote unquote, tag partner. It's Bailey, and this is kind of what I'm thinking is the pawn in all of that. of
Do you want me to find that post real quick? Because I have it saved.
I mean, if you want to, it's like a pretty long thread.
We can long story short it though, real quick.
Yeah, no, yeah, facts. If you want to go ahead and find it, you can.
So I mean, with this whole thing with Bianca though, if Bianca's the one who did it, that is pretty damn good. Uh, pretty damn good of a way to hide it. So okay,
Yeah.
this is what the feed reads. What if the big three is the final three? So yada yada yada. What if Naomi never did it? Bianca's been the one carrying, she's been the one doing everything. And Bianca wants this world title reign after the 5 seconds at SummerSlam 2023. Months later, we get the return of Naomi and the debut of Jade finally. And then we see Bailey trying to, be good friends with Bianca, but Bianca showing heavy animosity and everything. But with Jade being new and Bianca is basically um, kind of Jade's usher into the business and making her big or whatever. But with Bianca being the workhorse and the company woman, she really wanted her women's championship back. Like, she didn't really want to do this. So we fast forward to Clash. Jade and Bianca lose their titles. At this point, Bianca seems like she's ready to call it, which I do agree because at that time to me it looked like she was ready to call it. But their second run is it's different. Bianca taking almost everything in the match and Jade coming being cleanup. And so we fast forward again later on. We see the Meta Girls getting their quote unquote test run on the roster. And so Bianca and Jade have now beat the Meta Girls 2 times, but Lash and Jakara are basically excelling at everything they do on the main roster. And so Bianca plans herself to get back into the main event title picture just in time for Mania by getting a closer team of women who wanted what she already had, basically the Meta Girls. So before the tournament match, Bianca gets word that Lash and Dakar are at SmackDown. She tells them her plan to guarantee the tag titles if they help take out Jade. Naomi steps up. Should they win it? Now the plan is Bianca and Naomi versus the Meta Girls. Bianca fakes an injury, leaving Naomi by herself. Lash and Jakara win, but Bianca is just a little sore and she'll be fine. And Naomi and Bianca both decide to move on and declare for the Women's Rumble. And then this is where they're both 1 and 2. And at the end, we get number 30, Jade Cargill. And Jade looks across the ring at Bianca saying, "You're the one who did it." And Bianca's like, "Yeah, so what if I did it? I'm going to WrestleMania." And they start doing everything. But Naomi basically eliminates them both, going to WrestleMania. Jade and Bianca go back on a SmackDown. We see security footage from the Delta Center arena where Jade was attacked. And basically, the rest of this is we get Jade versus Bianca and Naomi winning the women's championship. That was basically the
Great.
whole thing. I like it. I just want to know what's going to go on with it later on.
No, definitely want to know what all happens with that. But with that being said, we then move to our first match of SmackDown. It is Bianca Belair teaming with Naomi and Bailey versus Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Tiffy time.
Hey, Bailey.
Ooh,
Ha. I
I
want to
wanna
know if you'll
know
be
if you'll
my
be my
girl.
girl. And everyone, weirdly enough, this kind of ties into what you were saying, where Bianca wants to be the center of it all now. Everyone comes out to Bianca's music only, which is opposed to how her and
Against
Jade
the
came out
wall.
when Jade's music would hit and then Bianca's music would hit and then they'd go to the ring. It's only Bianca now. Nia
You
comes
see
out
me crying?
afterwards and
They hear me
cuts a
roar.
promo saying she and the others are clear because after Tiffy failed to help them win last week, how could she possibly orchestrate an attack like that on Jade Cargill? Tiffy's clearly pissed off about that. You can see it in her eyes. She then
Honestly.
blames Bianca for attacking Jade and starts creating a narrative about Bianca being jealous of Jade, and that's why she took her out. But Nia can't blame her because, I mean, she'd do the exact same thing. She wants them to stop pointing fingers, though, and just wants her to admit it and own up to attacking Jade before she makes her own up to it. Match starts with a triple dive to the outside from the baby faces, taking everybody out. Nia's power, though, doesn't keep her down long as she consistently mugs off Tiffy, tagging in Candice and just completely ignoring her. Tiffy finally has had enough, though, and tags herself in, causing an argument with Candice, and Nia and Candice continue to third wheel Tiffy throughout the match, though, because, I mean, she didn't even get like 5 minutes of off. She tagged.
It's unfortunate.
Sorry, I had a phone call. I had to click decline on
No,
that
you're good.
bitch. But she says, yeah, Tiffy's continuing to get third wheeled throughout the match, but she saves Nia from a Naomi pinfall after a split-legged moonsault, and Tiffy grabs her briefcase as Nia is completely laid out. Candice then pulls Tiffy away, and her and Tiffy get into an argument, and she screams, "I want to be the champion," which that's what it's all about at this point for her.
Let's go, Tiffy.
Like, she's at this point, like, clearly not in it team with Nia anymore.
Not anymore. After
Candice,
this whole thing with Candice, hell no.
oh hell no, fuck Candice. Well, not in the storyline because I'm on Team Tiffy. But
Oh god.
Candice tags herself in as they continue arguing, and Naomi gets to roll her up for the win. And about it. I genuinely think that Tiffy's going to cash in next week because we learned that there's a women title match happening next week, and all of this happening now. Just
I'm excited.
clicking.
That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying.
Give me Tiffy as champion, please.
I'm ready for it, especially going into WrestleMania
Take my
season.
money.
Take my money! Take my money! She paints that damn belt pink. I
Oh
would love
Jesus.
it. Instead of a white belt strap, it's a bright pink one.
Oh jeez. I can see it though. That's the crazy
I
part.
could so see it. A Town Down Under now are talking with Nick Aldis backstage, complaining about Braun Strowman destroying their trees last week during the Grayson Waller effect. Theory has a match with Braun, though, and he needs to be ready for, and Nick has a very important meeting coming up, which is when we get a very convenient knock on the door. And who walks in? Sammy
So
Uso! He says that him and Nick should talk now, and Sammy wants to get his revenge on the Bloodline, who showed up on Raw. So now he's showing up on SmackDown for it. He wants a
yeah,
piece. He wants blood for blood, flesh for flesh.
let's do it.
Carmelo Hayes, then, goofy ass motherfucker, walks in. What's he doing? He's handing out Christmas cards. Hell yeah. Spreading holiday cheer, as you should, Mello.
You see what the Christmas cards look like?
I did, yeah. They're goofy as
Dude,
hell, bro. What
I
it's
wish I would have
like?
went to that shit.
Mary Mello, or it's like, what is it?
It's Mary Mellow. It's Mary Mellow don't miss. Or
Yeah,
Mary Mellow don't
Mary Mello
mas.
don't miss Mus.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
something
so
like that.
goofy.
I loved it.
Uh, Sammy doesn't like this though, and he gets mad at Mello for interrupting their meeting. And Mello asks Sammy why he's even here, seeing as how the only time he's ever on SmackDown is when he's getting beat down by the Bloodline. Boom!
Exactly.
Mello wants him to stay out of his business. More importantly, he wants him to stay off of his show. Nick doesn't like Mello's tone though, and he's like, "Your show, bitch, this is my show. I'm the GM." And Sammy says that he wants a match with Mello tonight, which gets made official right then and there by Aldis. And that's our main event match wise, but it's not going to be the thing that closes out the show. We then go to the ring where Braun Strowman is going to be taking on Austin Theory, and match kicks off. Basic as hell, you know. Strowman eats a guy. That's basically the match. Strowman manhandles Theory and tosses him away. Theory gets the upper hand for a while until a chop drops him and he's drop kicked out of the ring because Strowman is just different like that. Strowman then eventually goes out of the ring and runs the Strowman and Express. And while Waller runs away, Theory is taken out and knocked to the barricade. Strowman then tosses him back in the ring and actually starts climbing the ropes to do a damn splash or some shit. He learned a tsunami from Bronson Reed. He picked that up. Waller comes back a minute later, though, to knock Braun down on the top rope, leading to him picking him up, or Theory picking him up, that is, for the A-Town down. But he's too big for it. He's able to counter it and immediately picks the boy up for a power slam for the win. And what do we think of Strowman on SmackDown now?
So I love Strowman on SmackDown. Honestly, I do. I think it keeps him away from Bronson Reed, and it keeps them both doing their own things. I am, however, kind of upset about how he's not tying himself into the Wyatt Six. But I think he did say that once it was like his whole run with them was a one and done. And it was like no
Mm-hmm.
disrespect to them, like he still loves everyone. It's just he wants to stay his own thing. I guess is what you could say.
Which is understandable. Like, if he wants to be his own singles guy, I get that. He's a really good singles guy. I like Strowman, especially with what he does later on in the show, which has me actually super hyped for what could happen with him in the new year. But before we get to that, we go to Kevin Owens sitting in his car. And he's got the winged eagle belt sitting on his shoulder. And he's heard what Nick said earlier when he said KO isn't the real WWE champion. But KO has the winged eagle title, and he has it because he deserves it. He is the true and he is the rightful WWE champion after he was screwed out of Saturday night's main event match with Cody Rhodes. He thinks Nick and him need to have a conversation, though, one-on-one. No security, no office cronies, nobody else, just him and Nick inside of that ring. That is the only way that he's going to come into the arena, because he will only come into the arena on his terms. And then they can talk. Fuck, I just kicked a chair. But then they can talk once they are alone in the ring. You like Kevin Owens right now? Because I
Fuck no.
freaking love Kevin Owens right now.
Kevin did it to himself. I'm telling you.
Kevin
did
did
it to
it to
himself.
himself, yes. That's why I like his characters. He's just so off of the deep end now.
It's so off
He's
the wall.
so committed to this like lunatic now. And especially with Sami Zayn potentially going to SmackDown. I think Kevin Owens is going to stay on SmackDown if Sami Zayn gets moved there. And
honestly,
that is what I want at Mania. So bad. But the highlight of the year is next, ladies and gentlemen. Chelsea Green is celebrating her win of the United States Championship. We see what I'm going to assume is her VP, Piper Niven, at the podium. And she wants everyone to give a warm welcome to the prettiest, the tallest, the sparkliest, the most beautiful, the most popular, first and longest reigning, that's facts, ladies and gentlemen, Women's United States Champion ever, Chelsea Green. Let's go. The lady herself, the champ herself, walks out dressed as the Statue of Liberty. Corey then stands up to put his hand on his chest. I did too. It's only patriotic. Alex, did you?
Did I what?
Did you stand up and put your hand on your chest when Chelsea made her entrance?
Hell no.
Oh, you're not respectful. How could you? Are you not patriotic to the end?
Okay, she's Canadian holding a United States championship. let's just look back at this.
Dressed as a statue given to us by the French.
She's French Canadian, I think. I think she's French Canadian.
God. Introduced by her Scottish best friend.
She's from British Columbia, Canada, I think. Which I think is where is she from? Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Yeah, I think that area is like. I don't know my Canada. Don't fucking bash me.
My Canada.
I don't know my Canada. Hold on. I want to know this. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. But can we zoom out? Yes, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Hold on. Where the hell am I? Never mind. That is not where I thought it was. I thought that was the East Coast. That is the West Coast. Never mind. Anyways, continue. She's Canadian holding a United States Championship. She's not the greatest. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. Chelsea wants to take this time, though, to address the people of the WWE Universe. And first of all, we did it. We have officially turned the blue brand into the green house. And just like Fergie said, GLAMOROUS, She's talking about her win, of course. She's just glamorous. Chelsea emphasizes that she is the first and greatest women's U.S. champion. Of course she is. Duh, she is the greatest. She acts like she is going to then thank Piper for a second until she thanks herself for everything. She says we
A
all
dissension.
need to be. I don't like the dissension. I'm going to be real now.
I love it.
Says every single team is teasing dissension right now. It is a big bugbear of mine.
I love this.
But she says that we all need to be thankful that we got her as the champ and not any of the other women in that roster. To Michin, she only has 2 words though, and it's good riddance. Chelsea is even shocked that Michin made it that far at all, and to be fair, so am I.
Are you
People
serious? I hate you so much.
I'm serious though.
I can't believe Chelsea Green is holding the championship.
I love it. Oh my god, I love it. It's so good. I love this. And people need to ask themselves most important question, Alex. Not what Chelsea Green can do for you, but what can you do for Chelsea Green?
Not shit.
Michin interrupts, though, holding a kendo stick, and says that if it wasn't for Piper being goofy, she would be champion right now. She is now going to take a page from Chelsea's book, and she's going to bring a friend of her own. Of course, she's holding that kendo stick, like I mentioned. Takes out Piper, who carries Chelsea away from it all before she can get whooped by Michin. And I love this little sign here. Michael Cole versus Chelsea Green at WrestleMania. Put the belt on the line. Oh, I'd love that. That'd be so much fun.
I look. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Chelsea Green had to marry her husband, or she's gonna get kicked out of the country within like a week. She had to like rush it. She didn't actually get a full blown wedding. I'm just saying.
Why are you throwing shade?
Because fuck Chelsea Green.
Why are you throwing? Whoa! What'd she do to
Because you
you?
want to know who should be United States champion right now for the women's division? Me Chin.
I thought you were gonna say me.
Me. I stand on it.
Oh, whatever, man. Whatever.
I stand on it.
Chelsea Green's the only person that should have won that. If it wasn't going to be Tiffy, and she already had the briefcase. Chelsea Green.
I can't stand her.
Now we go backstage. We see hashtag DIY walking backstage, and they run into Nick Aldis.
You say hashtag DIY?
That's their name, yeah. Their name's actually hashtag DIY, but I shouldn't have put the hashtag. But they run into Aldis talking with Profits. Nick wants to ask them a question though, and if they have any info about who attacked the Street Profits a few weeks ago.
I started laughing.
Tampa and Johnny think it's terrible what happened to them, but they don't know who did it. They have no idea. Weren't there, didn't see it, have no clue, nada. But Nick says that there are actually 2 eyewitnesses of the incident, and in walk Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy!
Yes, boy!
They struggle, though, to remember exactly what they saw, but if they can get some funding for their future musical, they might just talk. Nick takes a moment to consider and says that he'll have all the time for their musical if they were unemployed. So, great job. Great negotiations. And just as Kit is about to point and say, gut, Elton butts in and says, Garza. It was Garza that attacked them, and obviously not Gargano. Why would it be
Who would do that?
Who would do that? Why would they do that? Profits look at them and go, are you sure? And they say, we're sure. And then they go off to find Legado del Fantasma. And as soon as they see him, it's on site. They immediately start fighting, and all this makes them break it up and take it to the ring. This is kind of going to feed into a bit of a sort of show long storyline with Pretty Deadly that I love. Yes, boy.
Yes, boy.
But now we go to the Street Profits versus Legado del Fantasma in the ring. Out of nowhere, Profits show some new aggression as they take control, and Montez gets taken down with a drop kick to the post. Los Garza then continues to double team Montez in the corner until Dawkins gets the hot tag with giving a neck breaker and attempts their finisher, the blockbuster, but Montez is picked up and dropped from the top rope. Like literally, both of them, Garza and Humberto, like an Angel and Humberto, were standing on like the top and middle rope, and they gorilla pressed this dude over their heads. Bro had to be like fucking 10 feet in the air, and then
Dude,
just dropped his ass.
that was an insane spot. I'm like,
It was
oh,
fucking
I was
nuts.
just waiting for someone to drop.
Yeah, right. Later on, then Electra Lopez saves Angel from the Profits, but B-Fab attacks her. Then the Profits are able to hit the blockbuster for the win a few moments later. I am liking the tag division on SmackDown. It feels like it's starting to heat up a little bit.
Me too.
Like for the entire year, WWE's tag division has been ice cold. I feel like, for the most part. Would you agree with that?
Sorry, what? I was reading your notes later on in the show.
Would you say that, like, for the majority of the year, WWE's tag division has felt ice cold?
I feel like I wouldn't say ice cold, but I feel like they've only kept it to like 4 teams on both, like in combined between both shows.
Yeah,
Because they kept the tag titles on the Judgment Day, and then you kind of keep the feed of DIY, Street Profits, and then now Motor City Machine Guns. Like those are your 4 teams. Like before Motor City Machine Guns, it was those 3, in my opinion. I don't think there was really any on Raw that really stood out to me.
There weren't, no. Like, ever since WrestleMania when they split the tag belts with Awesome Truth and A-Town Down Under, which, by the way, A-Town Down Under just shouldn't have won the tag titles in that match anyway. It should have been DIY originally.
I like
That
the
would
idea
have
that they
helped.
won it because if you would have played it into the way that I thought Triple H was going to play it, as like making them a legitimate threat now, yeah, never mind.
Right.
That could have changed up so much. So
I agree with that. But
let's rock and roll.
Now we move on a little bit, and we get to a promo video for Andrade El Idolo. And Andrade calls out Nakamura, Shinsuke Nakamura, the United States champion, and wants to be spared the nonsense. Nobody is better when it comes to in-ring work than Andrade. Mind games won't work on him after he's seen the man Nakamura really is, and when they face off again, Andrade will expose him and show the world he is inevitable.
I was going to say
Shinsuke said last
before,
week or something.
yeah, I'll say before you get into the next segment and whatever, Shinsuke has not even been on TV in a month. Like physically, he has not defended that title in a month. He hasn't had a match in a month since he's won that title.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. He
It's
won
been
it
officially a
at
month today.
Survivor Series?
He won that Survivor Series, which was November 30th. Today is December 30th at the time of this recording.
Yeah, that's
It's
insane.
officially been a month.
Insane. And we went from LA Knight being our champ to that.
Yeah, to a fighting champion back to, I hate to say it, a part-time.
I hate that, honestly.
Like it only worked so well with Roman because you could tell the story. You could tell the story without Roman actually being there.
Mm-hmm. Roman's there in name.
Yes,
basically, and like, he doesn't always.
I didn't like that he didn't show up as the world champion, but in storyline purposes, I understand everything.
Right.
So
now we get a preview. I forgot to mention, I think, at the beginning of the show that this is the final 2-hour SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen. Next week we do go to 3 whole hours for the show. Holy shit. That's gonna be nuts.
Lots of wrestling next week.
Lots of wrestling coming up. Both of us got 3-hour shows now getting moved to.
That means our episodes are about to be a lot longer. Sorry, guys. We can't help it.
It just happens. We got this. But next week, for the first 3 hours SmackDown, we see Andrade versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a non-title match. And we also see a WWE Women's Championship match, Naomi versus Nia Jax. And I just got a feeling, bro, Tiffy's going to cash in.
I think she will.
It's going to happen next
week. It got teased heavily this week, so definitely next Friday, I'm excited.
Then we move to Pretty Deadly again.
Yes, boy!
Yes, boy! And they're talking about how their plan kind of went perfectly.
All right. I mean, with DIY, like, and Pretty Deadly, honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to this match. But I mean, it's obviously kind of like one of those matches where you sit it down, you look at it on paper. It's like a match that you probably could do, but I mean, DIY is kind of like that heel team now, and then Pretty Deadly is just kind of like I don't want to say jobber, but like I would say lower mid card in the tag division. And with um Motor City Machine Guns, honestly, I like the idea that um they brought him in and basically instantly won the tag titles, but in the same breath, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Right. I agree with that.
Unlike a lot of the business, but I mean, if you look over the past instances over the past few years, Cody came in, instantly pushed to the main event scene. Motor City Machine Guns came in, instantly pushed to the tag team main event scene. I mean, who else came in? Logan Paul basically was pushed to the main event scene. Um, shit, who else? Like all these like stars come in, they're just like I don't say all these stars, like a few stars have came in and like they got pushed to the main event scene and then they didn't work their way up. I mean, honestly, I don't think I think they all should have in some way just to help build their credibility. Besides having their past um, kind of solidify them, but I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, yeah, I can see that point for sure, where they need to earn their stars on the roster of WWE before they get
Yeah,
like a WWE Championship match. But I think there's also like merit in somebody immediately getting pushed to the top of the roster because that just shows that they're actually a superstar, you know?
yeah, for sure.
Kind of like how Cody Rhodes was. Well, not
Cody,
pushed
Cody
immediately to the main event, but he was pushed against Seth
Rhodes,
Rollins. That's pretty much
Cody
main event.
Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
Oh shit, you can even do it with AJ Styles. Really, back in
Mm-hmm.
2016, he got pushed into a fucking well, a lot of the roster did, but he got put into a WWE Championship match, his first match in.
Right.
So I don't know. That's what I think.
And yeah, like I said, I get what you're saying though. But now we go to Pretty Deadly walking backstage, and DIY walk up and they want to know what they are after. And they say that after scratching the backs of DIY, they expect a favor in return. DIY says that if Pretty Deadly looks out for them, they will look after Pretty Deadly. And after they leave, the Profits walk up, thanking them for letting them know about Garza, and they got respect now. So it's like Pretty Deadly's like playing everybody basically, like the moles in the roster. And I thought that they would like continue with this with like a
Uh-huh.
multi-week storyline, perhaps. Like Pretty Deadly's really playing every team against each other. Like these
Dude,
goofs
honestly,
are
I'd be
really
okay
like the
with
chess
that.
masters.
Dude, honestly, imagine.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. But that kind of gets blown up right at the end of this segment. The Profits begin talking about meeting with Aldis about a tag title match when they run into Motor City Machine Guns, who stop them, saying that they are next for a title match and they need to go to the back of the line. And Apollo Crews comes in and says that they are all getting played right now by Pretty Deadly because he saw DIY attack the Profits last week and had a little bit of note here, but this kind of relates to what our entire conversation's been about. But I feel like SmackDown's tag division is way stronger than Raw's right now, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree.
Just
There's
based
more
on
main
like
event talent
presentation,
shown
at
on
least.
Raw, and there's more tag team shit shown on SmackDown, in my
If
opinion,
you want to say, yeah, I would say like
or more
it's an A and
single
a B
stuff.
show. It's
Yeah,
your A and a B show. It's your more mid card and tag team show. I mean, in the past years, people really considered Raw as your big flashy main event show, and then SmackDown is where you go to see the really good like technical wrestling and the mid card guys.
yeah, I do agree to that.
But now, with that being said, we go to our main event match now, and it's Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes. This is like low key kind of a not I wouldn't call it a dream match, but this is a pretty big match I would say to be happening first time ever on SmackDown. I like it. We
Oh
get
god,
Sami Zayn versus Mello now. Starting
Sammy
off with
Uso to you, sir.
Sami Uso. I'm
Sammy
sorry,
Uso.
Sami
Not playing.
Uso. We start off with a fair back and forth and a few fake outs, leading to Sammy hitting a moonsault off of the barricade outside. Commentary, though, is constantly mentioning and talking about Kevin Owens during the match. That's
I
where
haven't
I'm
noticed
thinking
that.
Mania match, Mania match. Sammy stops Mello from flying around with an axe handle and a blue thunder bomb, and a flying nothing leads to Sammy eating the first 48. Sammy then takes his head off of the lariat mid-air, countering nothing but net. Mello runs from a haluva kick and tries going up the ramp until we hear Braun! And Strowman comes out. He tries picking up Mello, who then runs backstage, running away from the monster who chases after him, trying to get him back in the ring for that match. But back in the ring, match is canceled because the bloodline jumps Sammy from behind. As he's getting murked, though, Strowman reappears from the entranceway with a dead Mello on his shoulders, looking like a deer carcass or some shit. Just dumps that dude onto the ground and runs down there to help Sammy. He charges the help. He takes out Tama and meets Solo in the ring, and they trade blows. Like Solo stands toe to toe with Strowman here, and I think it makes Solo look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Solo holds his own, like I said, until Strowman sends him away, thinking that he wins the ring. When we see behind him, oh, he's tweaking, he's moving, he's jiggling. What's he on? It's Fatu. He's on that Fatu shit.
I love you, Solo.
I love you, Solo. The Bloodline then reappear also, and they beat down Strowman, and Sammy tries helping, but it does a grand total of nothing. And they both get dropped and completely murked. And they all hold up the ones. And I think it's over. Oh, great commercial. I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom, but it's not. Because we hear the music of Kevin Owens. And my jaw hit the floor. I was like, what?
I thought he was about to come out and start beating ass too. I was like, no way.
I didn't know what he was going to do. All I knew is that Sammy was in the ring, the Bloodline was in the ring, and Kevin was right there. I was like, what is going to happen?
Shit's about to go down.
Turns out nothing, though, because Solo calls for the Bloodline to clear the ring. He doesn't want any part of, I'll call him the Temu WWE champion, Kevin Owens.
That's funny.
But Nick Aldis is already in the ring, trying to break up the brawl that was happening earlier. And Kevin Owens and Nick Aldis now. And Nick has nothing left to say, and there's only one thing left to do. He asks KO to do the right thing and hand him the Winged Eagle Championship. But KO doesn't think that that's the right thing to do. He thinks that that is the worst possible thing that he could do right now. He wants Nick to explain why he would give it back. It's the only bargaining chip he has left, after all. It's the only way he can make sure that he's given what is rightfully his and what is fair. A WWE Championship match where a referee cannot rob him of his victory.
Of course.
Because that's exactly what happened to Saturday Night's main event, after all.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying what he said. This is
Run
just
the tapes.
Run the tapes. His words. This is his words. His words, man.
Run the tapes, Kevin. Run the tapes.
Run the tapes. He can have the title back, but Cody, this is Kevin still talking. He says that, Nick, you can have the title back as long as Cody comes and takes it from him, and he screams, "Give me my rematch." He had Cody beat. Nick knows it. Kevin knows it. Everybody knows it. Nick explains, though, that that's not how this works. This is not a negotiation. He explains that there will be dire and immediate consequences for his actions. Hand the belt over, or you never step foot in a WWE ring again. We then get the music of Cody Rhodes. I wish that's how his theme started. Could you imagine if that's how his entrance music started, bro?
It'd be like Joe Hendry. It'd be like Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I would love that.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Nick, though, can't say too much to reveal about Cody, but for his health and the company's health, he needs Cody to stay out of this. He will handle it with Kevin. Cody says that he won't walk away. He doesn't want Kevin to hand over the title. Don't make a martyr out of someone who wants to be made a martyr. KO has said so much, but Cody is about to punch a huge hole in his logic. He said the root of their problem was Cody teaming with Roman at Bad Blood, the man who tried to end his livelihood and end Kevin's career. Meanwhile, at Saturday Night's main event, Kevin did the exact same thing that he's mad at Roman for to Cody, a package pile driver in the center of that ring, almost breaking his neck. When KO met Cody, he was young, he was hungry. He did it all for himself, but not anymore. Now he does this for his girls. He does this for the fans. He does it for the announcer who believed in him from the start. I assume that's Michael Cole because he
Yeah.
pointed over there. He does it for the timekeeper, who's his cousin. His little buddy in the front row, he points to a little dude, little Oos.
Hello, Oos.
He does it for his mentor, Randy Orton, who Kevin put on the shelf and robbed these people of, who had his career robbed of him for 18 months for crying out loud. He does it for the people who have faith in him. It's not Nick's responsibility, it's Cody's responsibility to take the title from him. He tells Kevin he has had enough, and if he wants a match where WWE referees can't screw him, that's fine. Cody agrees because he wants a match where the referee can't get involved and stop him from what he's going to do to Kevin. Cody tells all this something about a ladder match off the mics while they're just arguing, it seems like. And that's when Cody gets to the mic again, and he said that's what it's all about after all. It's about climbing. So they are going to hang both titles above the ring for a ladder match. Nick Aldis then makes it official for the Royal Rumble. It's a WWE Championship ladder match. Kevin versus Cody. Kevin says that sounds great. And he'll see Cody there. He reaches out the hand to shake his hand, but Cody obviously refuses. He's smarter than that. He knows it's a trap. Kevin pretends to leave, though, and shoves Aldis into Cody before stomping on the champ's neck several times while Aldis is trying to protect him. And as he's going up the ramp, he starts headbutting the Winged Eagle Championship, yelling, "I'm the true champ, and I'll see you at the Rumble, bitch."
I didn't even catch that.
Damn straight. Show closes out with Cody crumbled up in a ball in the ring, obviously, because his neck is damn battered.
I didn't even notice that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest.
But our first, well, other than the Rumble matches, our first match made official for the Royal Rumble, ladies and gentlemen, is a ladder match. A freaking ladder match.
I'm excited.
I am too. This is going to be intense, man. Especially with the fact like Kevin Owens having the history of like ladder wars and Ring of Honor from his time there. Like he's not afraid to take a nasty bump, and we know Cody's not afraid to take a nasty bump either.
I'm about to start saving some money for Rumble tickets. I need to
We
see
have
this.
to.
I don't even care if we get nosebleeds at this point. I just
I
want to
don't
go.
care either. We got to.
We'll figure it out though.
Hell
That's all I
yeah.
got for the show, though. Rand, how about you?
Oh yeah, that is all that I got for it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to another episode of the AR Wrestling Podcast. Make sure y'all stay on the lookout. We have got our 2024 review show in the works right now. That'll be out shortly, either the day of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, or the day after, sometime in that time frame. I will aim for it. But make sure y'all hop onto our socials. X is AR Wrestling underscore, Instagram AR underscore Wrestling underscore. Go to Apple Pod, iHeart Radio, Spotify, all of the good stuff. AR Wrestling Podcast. Go into YouTube, AR Wrestling 1020. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us for an entire year. Hope you all have a happy new year. And once again, thank you!
Thank you!